Now, just before I go, King Charles's three-day tour of Germany has come to a close. The last event of the trip for the monarch and the Queen Consort was a reception with Hamburg residents and members of the local British community there. They were accompanied by Germany's president. That's it. I'm Lewis Vaughan-Jones. This is BBC News. Bye-bye.
This is BBC News. Welcome if you're watching here in the UK or around the globe. I'm Clive Myrie. Our top stories for you. Donald Trump becomes the first former US president to face criminal charges. The charges are thought to relate to falsifying business records to hide hush money payments to a porn star.
The unprecedented indictment of a former president of the United States for a campaign finance issue is an outrage.
Former Paralympic champion Oscar Pistorius, who was convicted of murdering his girlfriend, is denied an early release from prison. A cricket disciplinary hearing upheld charges against several players over the use of a racial slur. The former Yorkshire cricketer Azeem Rafiq says the sport needs to end institutional racism for good.
One of the core reasons for me speaking out was for the game to get better. And I think that test really starts now.
President Zelensky attends ceremonies being held in Bucha, a year since the town was recaptured by the Ukrainian army. Hello to you. Donald Trump has become the first former US president to face a criminal prosecution. The precise charges against him have not yet been made public, but they're thought to relate to falsifying business records to hide a payment to a porn star during the 2016 election campaign. It's alleged Stormy Daniels was paid off in exchange for her silence about an alleged affair. Mr. Trump denies any wrongdoing, calling the indictment political persecution and an election interference. Our North America correspondent John Sudworth has the story. Well, let's get more now with my colleague Katty Kay, who's our US special correspondent and one of the hosts of the BBC podcast Americast. Katty, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Just listening to Mike Pence there, using pretty much the same language as Donald Trump. This is a political persecution. Talking about this being offensive, it all being political. Does that really reveal what Mike Pence thinks about all this? Or, for some cynics, is this Mike Pence trying to keep hold of those voters that perhaps Donald Trump already has? Indeed, really important point. Katty, it's good to see you. Katty Kay there, our US special correspondent. Thank you. Well, Dr. Lauren Wright is a political scientist at Princeton University. She joins me now from New Jersey. Hello to you. Thanks for being with us. First of all, in terms of the indictment, there is nothing stopping Donald Trump from running for the nomination, right, at this moment in time. All right. Dr. Lauren Wright from Princeton. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, the South African Paralympic star Oscar Pistorius has been denied parole in South Africa. That's according to the Department of Correctional Services. But now there is confusion about whether he was even eligible to apply for it in the first place. Well, we spoke to our Africa correspondent Andrew Harding a little earlier about what was going on. Andrew Harding speaks to my colleague Lewis Vaughan-Jones there. Well, Ms. Steenkamp's family has released a statement which reads, "While we welcome today's decision, today is not a cause for celebration. We miss Riva terribly and will do so for the rest of our lives. We believe in justice and hope that it continues to prevail." In the UK, the Cricket Discipline Commission has upheld complaints against 5 former Yorkshire players for using racist or discriminatory language towards teammates. The charges by the England and Wales Cricket Board stemmed mainly from allegations made by Azeem Rafiq, who in 2020 laid bare the extent of racism in the sport. Meanwhile, the former England captain Michael Vaughan has been cleared of using racist language towards a group of Asian players, which included Rafiq in 2009. Well, in a statement, Michael Vaughan criticised the procedure, saying the England and Wales Cricket Board invited claim and counterclaim, but he said he still wants to continue to fight for change in the sport. He said it has been both difficult and upsetting to hear about the painful experiences which Azim has described over the past 3 years. The outcome of these CDC proceedings must not be allowed to detract from the core message that there can be no place for racism in the game of cricket or in society generally. He goes on to say the dismissal of the specific charge that concerned me takes nothing away from Azim's own lived experiences. Well, Azim Rafiq has been speaking to the BBC about the ECB decision. Here's his reaction. Azim Rafiq speaking to our sports editor there, Dan Rowan. Well, George Dobell is a senior correspondent for The Cricketer and the journalist who broke this story originally back in 2020. He gave us his views on what we've learned today. Pope Francis has baptized a newborn in the hospital in Rome where he's receiving treatment himself for bronchitis. He appeared in good physical condition and also visited young patients on an oncology ward, bringing them chocolate and eggs and copies of a book about the life of Jesus. Pope Francis is expected to leave the hospital on Saturday, pending the results of his latest medical tests, and the Vatican says he's scheduled to take part in Palm Sunday services the following day. You're watching BBC News.
Tackle the world of rugby with the BBC Sport website and app. Get the latest news from both codes of the game. To track your team's progress, go online or download the app now.
This is BBC News. Welcome if you're watching here in the UK or around the world. I'm Clive Myrie. Our top stories for you. Donald Trump becomes the first former US president to face criminal charges after an investigation into a payment made to a porn star. The charges relate to breaking the law by falsifying business records in New York. He denies any wrongdoing. Oscar Pistorius, the former Paralympic champion jailed for murdering his girlfriend, has been denied an early release from a prison in South Africa. The parole board said he hadn't completed his minimum detention period. The Cricket Discipline Commission has upheld complaints against 5 former Yorkshire players for using racist language, but the former England captain Michael Vaughan was cleared of using racist language towards a group of Asian players in 2009. President Zelensky has been leading ceremonies in Bucha on the first anniversary of its recapture by Ukrainian forces. The suburb northwest of Kiev has come to symbolize Russian atrocities. Now, it's time for all the sports news, and for a full roundup from the BBC Sports Centre, here's Ollie Foster. Hi, Ollie.
Many thanks, Clive. We're going to get more on that cricket racism story. The former Yorkshire bowler Azim Rafiq says he feels vindicated after a cricket discipline commission found charges had been proved against 5 former players of bringing the game into disrepute through their use of racist and or discriminatory language. The former England captain, as you've been hearing, Michael Vaughan, was cleared on the balance of probabilities of using racist language towards the former teammates and Rafiq. Vaughan's lawyer has criticised the process and the toll it's taken on all parties. That is all your sport for now. Clive.
Ollie, thank you for that. Ollie Foster there. Now, let's get more reaction to the indictment of the former president, Donald Trump. Our North America correspondent, Neda Tawfiq, explained what some of the legal terms mean to my colleague Lewis Vaughan-Jones, starting with what exactly being indicted involves. Neda Tawfiq there. Now, Ukraine's President Zelensky has led commemorations in the town of Bucha, just north of Kiev, to mark the first anniversary of its liberation from occupying Russian troops. He and several European leaders listened outside an Orthodox church, while the names of Ukrainians who were killed were read out. The town has come to symbolize atrocities carried out by Russian forces. Bucha was the focus of intense fighting. Well, our reporter Hugo Bashega has more details. Hugo Bashega there in Kiev. Now, the Oscar-winning actress Gwyneth Paltrow has been awarded a symbolic sum of $1 after winning a 2-week court battle over a skiing collision in Utah in 2016. Terry Sanderson, who's 76, had accused her of crashing into him at a resort and sued for $300,000. Sophie Long has that story from Utah. British businesses are warning they'll have to cut working hours due to high energy bills ahead of government help being scaled back. From Saturday, firms will get a discount on wholesale prices, as the government says the current scheme, which caps costs, was too expensive. Our business correspondent Mark Ashdown reports. Staying in the UK now, and the Environment Agency has found large amounts of raw sewage were discharged into England's rivers and seas last year, but the volume was down on the year before. Untreated effluent, including human waste, wet wipes and sanitary products, was released into waterways more than 300,000 times. That's a 34% reduction in the duration of spills since 2021, due to drier weather, not the actions of water companies. Our science and environment correspondent Victoria Gill has more from West Yorkshire. Britain's Business and Trade Minister has defended a major new trade pact that the UK has struck with Asian and Pacific nations. It follows criticism that it won't make up for lost trade with the European Union following Brexit. Business Secretary Kemi Badenoch says that Britain's new membership of the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, or CPTPP, was not just about economic benefits but also geopolitical ones. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has hailed the deal as a demonstration of the economic benefits of what he called post-Brexit freedoms. I'm joined now by the leader of the Liberal Democrats, Sir Ed Davey. Hello to you. Thanks for being with us. Do you agree with Rishi Sunak that perhaps we are seeing the benefits of a post-Brexit world? OK, we'll leave it there. Sir Ed Davey, leader of the Liberal Democrats. Thanks very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.
15-minute cities, where everything you do and need is within a 15-minute walk or bike ride, are an idea being explored around the world, but the concept has ignited fierce debate and conspiracy theories, and O'Holligan has been looking at why. King Charles's 3-day tour of Germany has come to a close. The last event of the trip for the monarch and Queen Consort was a reception with Hamburg residents and members of the local British community. They were accompanied by Germany's President Frank-Walter Steinmeier. It's the first state visit of Charles's reign and was, of course, supposed to have begun in France, but due to the numerous demonstrations there over the raising of the pension age, it was cancelled and has since been postponed. You're watching BBC News. Stay with us. Bye for now.